can't trust them. They will let you down.
I guess it's ironic that I'm in the middle of writing a Chelsea video right now. They go ahead and pick up a 3-2 win, and United go on and return to their woeful ways. In a weird way, Chelsea and United are both in similar boats right now. Both horribly inconsistent, both horribly frustrating. Cole Palmer is cold, and Chelsea won yesterday at Luton, but they kinda tried to throw it all away in the final 25 minutes or so. Thiago Silva's face at full time says it all. Chelsea are only 3 points behind Manchester United, by the way. I always find it so funny how quickly a narrative can change, how quickly people are willing to change their opinions on things just to do a 180 and revise their opinions like a software update. In the case of United, it's more like a 360, a delayed 360. Yo, what's going on, guys? Hope we're all doing well. I'm Tinashe, welcome back to the channel. Because I'm possibly the biggest dickhead on earth, I was on a flight on Boxing Day, probably the worst day in the entire year to be at an airport, second to maybe Christmas Eve, maybe New Year's Day, I guess. It's just packed, it's unpleasant. But anyway, what that meant is that I missed out on watching United vs Villa live, and I'm not gonna lie to you, before this match, I kind of thought that was a good thing. I was getting flashbacks of how they mauled City 2 weeks ago and was breaking into sweats while I was boarding. But when I looked at the scoreline, I'm glad I was wrong. Although when I watched a recording of the match, don't get me wrong, I was still quite happy, but I wasn't exactly jumping for joy. We'll get into that a bit later on. I would have made a video on this match too if I weren't traveling and with family, and imagine what that would have been like, right? A positive video about Man United on this channel? It's been almost a year since one of those. It's been like 2 weeks since we last spoke about Man United, yet here we are yet again doing the whole routine just over and over again, I guess. But in my defense, it has been a very busy past week and a half at Old Trafford, and I have a much longer, more interesting video essay coming up in the next few days, so why not? So what's been happening lately? Confirmation of a 25% stake in the club being sold to the second wealthiest person in all of Britain, a sensational comeback win against second place Villa, and a customary loss to a bottom table team. All of which have a lot of talking points. I guess we can talk about the actual football first. These past 2 games have done a really good job of showing everyone what this United team is all about, showing everyone where they struggle and where they thrive. Aston Villa. The hype around this win was insane. To give you an idea of how happy and hopeful United fans were, this picture of Johnny Evans was doing the rounds. It's him in 2009 celebrating a winner against Aston Villa scored by none other than Federico Makeda, a promising youngster. This is Johnny Evans with Rasmus Højlund celebrating a winner against Aston Villa in 2023, a winner scored by a promising youngster. A nice little now and then type of moment. The difference is that the first goal played an integral part in helping Man United win the league in 2009, whereas the second goal, it played an integral part in helping Man United stay 7th and go within 8 points of second place Aston Villa. They are not the same. But a win is a win, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. United fans should be happy. And I was. However, let's look a little bit further. Why was Man United allowed to win this match? It was a couple of things, right? They were the better team overall, I agree with that. But I think it really comes down to, firstly, what I can only imagine was a swift kick in the head by Ten Hag to the team after going into the break at 2-0 down. The second of which was the fact that Villa are famously known to play that really high line. On that note, the warning signs were there for Villa throughout the entire match. Garnacho had a goal disallowed just after half-time after being marginally offsides, and the likes of Rashford and Højlund will gladly appreciate any opportunity to run into free space, which is what Rashford did for that disallowed goal. It's also what he did for Garnacho's actual first goal. The chaos that these guys were able to create contributed to the second and third goal too. And we finally got to witness a Rasmus Højlund Premier League goal. It couldn't have come in a better way for him. So happy for him. This is what it means. This guy was losing his mind on Twitter, but Højlund finally came through. And now we have to get to the negative part. There were a lot of Man United idiosyncrasies that left me groaning and frustrated at the screen hours after the match was even played. Massive susceptibility to conceding goals from set pieces that really shouldn't be conceded. A free kick that bounces all the way through, and a corner that's defended like trash. The corners against Forest weren't all that much better. Now, I'll be the first to admit that anything can happen from set pieces, and in these specific set pieces in this particular match, they kind of created these scenarios where chaos was happening and a lot of teams would concede here. But Onana really needs to be commanding the area and coming out in this situation, right? And why is Longley chilling all by himself with the back post to head it back into the area for the second? Scratch what I said, not every team would concede here. I'm going to stop myself before I start sounding like a wet towel. You know, I'm probably a bit too late for that, I probably already do. I'm taking a lot of the fun out of it. I'm not going to act like I wasn't jumping for joy when United won this match, and now I'm angry and upset just to fit a narrative. Listen, it was a win, and a win is a win. Except when it's not. Nottingham Forest.
They've got Villa on Boxing Day. They could go and win that. That's how daft it is. And then they could go and lose at Forest 4 days later.
Firstly, credit to Forest for that win. There were some really good goals in that match, some really high quality goals, particularly Morgan Gibbs-White's second goal to win it. The shape on that shot was just sublime. United are really susceptible to those cutback goals anyway, but that's besides the point. Dominguez's goal was good too. Now, Gibbs-White should have been sent off, I believe, but I'm not in the right headspace or state of mind to care too much about it or dwell too much on it, if I'm honest. Kicks McTominay, fouls Evans, and then descent. Only a yellow card. So him scoring the winner is peak Man United. That was a great spin to avoid confrontation with Varane though. Majestic. At the same time, the Forest defense and keeper were all over the place in this match. I have no idea how only one goal was scored by United here. Like I said in the intro, these two matches did a really good job of showing where United are good and where they're bad. Just the duality of this team. What were the actual tactics here? It seems that when United play against teams that don't play a suicidal high line, they tend to really struggle. And that's a really big problem because there are only like 3 teams in the entire league that play like this. Despite having a team full of technical dribblers, United constantly struggle to break down teams that defend deep. They struggle with keeping concentration for a full 90, and often when you look at the players, they look like they don't really know what they're doing. Even when they're winning. I watched Manchester City dismantle Sheffield United earlier in the day and was left with a feeling I know all too well when I watch them. Jealousy. The way they control the tempo. The willingness of their younger players to not hide. That second goal, on the surface, didn't look like anything special, but to me, it kinda was. Oscar Bob plays a beautiful ball to Phil Foden into the box, and he squares it to Julian Alvarez. Julian Alvarez scores, simple as that. And then they cut to Kevin De Bruyne warming up. I'm not gonna lie to you, I may have had to go for a walk after that just to cool off. It's getting really hard to keep defending Erik ten Hag. I still don't think he should be sacked, but don't get me wrong, it's because of a lack of a suitable replacement, or rather, a lack of faith that United can actually find a replacement, back him, and stop the cycle from repeating. It's actually the most infuriating position to be in as a fan. I guess it's better to stick with the enemy that you know, right? Subbing McTominay in for Mainu is ludicrous, especially because he was in the solo pivot role. It was confirmed shortly after that this was done for tactical reasons and there was nothing wrong with Mainu injury-wise, which makes this decision even more insane. The thing about McTominay is that he's not a specialist in any midfield position, but I would say that out of all of them, that DM6 role is his worst, by far. He just lacks the defensive awareness and capabilities to play in that role. Usually, when a player plays in that DM role and we don't notice them, they're doing a good job, right? We've all heard the Busquets quotes and all that before. When McTominay plays in it and we don't notice him, he's doing a bad job. He's not tracking back. He's letting players drift into the box, and that's kind of what he keeps doing. Garnacho struggled in this match, which he usually does against more physical opposition, but I will say that he really did show up well for that equalizer, pouncing onto a terrible mistake by the keeper, intercepting and getting the ball to Rashford. But it wasn't enough. No Højlund, no party, I guess. Illness. Just like the other massive list of absences that United have right now. It's a lucky season. Almost every week, chants of sacked in the morning are sung by opposition fans at Ten Hag. And every week, it seems as though this day is getting closer and closer. Reports indicate that after finalization of the deal for Sir Jim Ratcliffe's minor stake in the club, over 300 United employees could lose their jobs. Ten Hag must have been sick to his stomach when he read those headlines. Out of all the employees at the club that have a public presence, I'm pretty sure most people look to him as the most disposable. The stats about Man United in 2023 make for some very grim reading. 21 losses in all competitions, 7.7% shot conversion, ranked 20th overall, 22 goals scored in the Premier League this season, ranked 18th overall. He seems to be obsessed with Scott McTominay. His £81 million winger has only 1 goal in 33 appearances in the league in 2023. Things could definitely be better. All jokes aside, the reality of this situation is not funny at all. Mass retrenchments are a dreadful thing. I've had friends go through situations where they're good at their job, they've been doing a good job, and then they've been fired, seemingly out of the blue. I once worked for a company where I saw people get fired out of the blue and they were all good at their jobs. And the reasoning is always the same for this sort of thing. Leadership makes terrible decisions, and then they feel that the only way they can rectify the decisions is by cutting costs or restructuring. It's not fair. Having said that, unless you've worked at Manchester United, you wouldn't know about if there are any bad apples. Everyone has them. In the same vein, unless you've worked there, you wouldn't know much about the leadership structure behind closed doors. But from the headlines that we've been fed this whole time, and particularly when it comes to people like the Glazers, from the headlines that we've been being fed since 2005, I think that we're all well within our rights to make assumptions. Just the other day, the club had their food hygiene rating downgraded from 5 to 1 star after guests were served raw chicken at a corporate event at Old Trafford. This club is worth over £4 billion, by the way. Contrary to the length of the video, I'm at a loss for words. And there we have it. Happy New Year. Let me know what you guys think about Man United and this situation. Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and follow the socials. That's all for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're having a great day. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.